Hello everyone, today is the first episode of VFX Remake on Fragpunk. I talked about this format for a while now and I took as a main goal to reproduce one of the effects from HoloPoint. She's a map control character type and has this very unique moving screen. And this ability is going to be our main focus for this time. So I'm gonna walk you through my process in the reproduction step, but also show important parts of the effect. I'm not gonna cover the inner details of the particle system for spawning each element. All the files are available in the Sandbox for you to open and scout as usual, so let's get started. First, we need to collect all the resources necessary to list all the elements needed. Thanks to the help of Keyframe, we'll get a frame-by-frame analysis of all the elements composing the effect. So as we can see, it's way easier to decompose each element into pieces that will compose our kit later. Afterward, we are going to recombine them later. So one of the first elements is this tree segment element. I've divided it with rotation phase with the module rotate around point. It helps me portion them and animate them later smoothly. This UI part can be set up in post-process, but for simpler purpose, I will just attach it to the camera. I've made it using the same setup than the core texture in After Effects. Now we have this texture, which is the core part of the effect. In order to make this texture, I used After Effects. It allows you to draw each shape and control the ramping, the size of the edges very smoothly. It makes texture editing really fast. This texture is mostly composed of mask circle, as you can see. I create a shape, set its filling to black, set its color to white, and set its edges size. I can then mask it, place it, and rotate it freely. I then compose all of this shape in a composition layer, and then I apply all the required post-process on this layer, which allows me to have bloom on one side and color ramp. I think for this type of texture, it makes it really efficient. If you need any editing, it's faster compared to Substance Designer, where a shape like this would need a much bigger network, or in Photoshop a ton of folder and layers. It's an option I've felt more comfortable with. Once we are happy with the effect, we can dress it with the additional sprites. It's just simple sprite spawning and rotating, nothing fancy. For our core texture, in my material I assigned a distortion during the dissipation, but I also assigned an HSL node, hue, saturation and level, which allows me to control the hue, the saturation and the level very easily. As I'm using a lot of color curves in the project, sometimes my values are correct, but I just need a simple hue shift or tweak a bit the level, and that setup makes it work very nicely. It's a nice technique to know. Then, on the holographic wall, it's very basic. I use this flipbook to fake the clit screen overlay that we can see in the background. Then I have this packed RGB texture that allows me to get a first fake screen pattern. I'm blending high and low values together and assign a mask that fades the edges. There's an overlay layer of a distorted noise. For the logo type, I apply the same shader as the screen. The highlights and low values are different to make it pop and detach from the background. Now, one problem I was confronted with was this particle that spawns around the edges of the wall. I made the custom module to spawn my particle only on the edges of the plane. I know there is the shape location module. It doesn't have this very specific use case of being able to trim inner position in a box. There's the possibility of using a kill module, but that doesn't seem right. I felt like I needed to have the possibility to spawn this particle at the location I want and not hack it. It's something I might reuse later anyway. Once I've solved the problem, all the elements were there. The last step was composing the effect in the sequencer. So I've had my initial animation. Now I just need to place my effect and timing it correctly. I also placed the camera in the scene. It's very important to scale your effect accordingly to the correct scale. But now on the other end, our effect is finally done. We can add an extra layer of sound element. And that's it. I roughly spent a week doing it on my spare time, and I feel like at this state the effect is in a good place. It can definitely have some extra feeling to it, but all the base elements are there, and that's the most important. And next up, we are going to cover the snap effect from Marvel Snap. That's it. Thanks for watching, do VFX, and see you next time. Take care.